Hi Aries, great to see you. Come on in. Just in time for your Aries April 2019 reading. Hi, I'm Nigel Saint James, for those who haven't met me before. Look, I've just been doing a session for about an hour of meditation and prayer for all of my Aries subscribers. So you will be feeling a lot of positive energy coming towards you, I think. And also want to thank those of you who I've read for a couple of you Aries since last month, and thank you also for recommending me to your friends. If you'd like a private reading, of course, I do them for people all over the world. Then just have a look in the description box below, and that will give you the details. Yes, I think I've since last month's YouTube videos, people in Great Britain, the United States, Canada, India, the Philippines, New Zealand, Germany, Italy, among other places. But now we're doing tarot, and I'm going to do some playing cards as well at the end, just like I did last month. So let's see what there is to have in store for you, shall we? Now, I love these cards, so we're going to see what they are. This is the Queen of Discs. Let me turn it around this way. Yep, the Queen of Discs. That's always good. I think you're going to enjoy the artwork on this, to tell you the truth. Let's have a look here. That's this one. The Empress. That's always a great card, the Empress. Something from the middle. The Eight of Cups. Great card for you. The Hermit. What about here? Let's turn it around. There's the King of Swords now. So the Empress, the Eight of Cups, the Queen of Discs, and the Hermit. I'm going to do a couple of playing cards. In fact, I'll take three, shall we? See what there is in store for you. Let's have a look at this first one. The Six of Clubs. The Ten of Spades. I think that might be about you thinking about somebody else. And there's the Nine of Hearts. Okay, as is our usual practice, come down and sit down next to me, and we'll look to see what these beautiful cards have to say for you. All right, Aries, let's see. We're going to go straight to this one here, which is in the middle, the Eight of Cups. Now, what can we say about the Eight of Cups? Well, this is, in a sense, it's about being not lazy, but I think without having a lot of get up and go. This is a message for you, I think, to understand that it is possible that at some point during the month you may feel this, and what is important is that you detach yourself from it. The Lord of abandoned success, almost as if you're giving up on something, and yet I can tell you the other cards that are here are full of success for you. But this card is Saturn ruling the first decan of Pisces. Saturn is, well, it's about structure, it's about responsibility, it's about pushing you along the path which is necessary for you to take in order to accomplish the things that you were born to do. It's about responsibility, but in some respects there is something of a heavy energy associated with it. Saturn in the first decan of Pisces, that 19th of February to, well, the 28th of February. Now, Pisces is about intuition, spirituality, fantasy, and emotion. And what's happening here is that Saturn deadens completely the water of Pisces. Saturn dominates and suffocates the joy of Pisces. And also with this number 8 here for me, numerologically, there is mystically associated the planet of Mercury. And so we have the flightiness of Mercury present in the card as well. So the overall influence represents dark Saturn with no growth. Now, the other thing is this, as I say, that Pisces is the constellation. Well, Mercury is in detriment in Pisces, and so we have a degree of conflict here as well. This is suggesting that there could well be a period where you feel that there is some sort of a stagnation in your life, that you are, in a sense, denying yourself pleasure, a sort of a self-martyrdom. There's a lack of effort or get up and go, which could well be a reaction to feelings that have arisen in your life, leading you to feel that for a moment there is an emptiness or there's a purposelessness, and without anything that fulfills you. I will say that there is an angel associated with this card here, Rahael. Rahael. Now, that name substitutes for the name of Lord in a book of the Old Testament or Hebrew Bible called Psalms, and I'm pretty sure it's chapter 16, verse 5, which says, "The Lord is my allotted share and portion, you control my fate." Now, meditating on that verse, chapter 16, verse 5, you'll find that with every step you take and each moment that passes, you will feel comfort, confidence, and a stronger sense of direction. Now, what's important here also is, let's have a closer look at her again. You see this young woman, she's cloaked in a lion's pelt. Now, I'm reminded of the Greek mythology of Heracles, who we come to know as Hercules. Hercules had 12 labors, the first of which was to slay the Nemean lion. And the Nemean lion was remarkable in that its skin was impervious to arrows, to spears, and to daggers, all of which Hercules had tried to use against it, and it looked as if the lion was about to gain the upper hand when Hercules strangled the lion and defeated it. He then wore the lion's pelt as a sort of a divine protection, and you too will have this divine protection around you. Notice the opening here. The young woman, her heart is pure and open, and your heart should also be pure and open during this period. We reach now to this card here, and let's have a look at her. It is the Empress. Now, the Empress, what can I say about her? Well, there are two mother archetypes in the first few major arcana. The High Priestess, who is cold and remote, the empty void or ocean. And then there is the Empress, who is warm, nurturing, and overflowing with diversity and abundance. The Empress isn't just the mother to a single child. She is a symbol of the mother of everything, the abundance and fertility of creation, and she carries all things across the void of creation and into the world of manifestation. She takes the child, covering it with her flesh, and takes it across the threshold from spirit to matter. She carries it out of the dark forest and into the bright sun. The daughter of the mighty ones is what I call her, and she is that daughter. Well, a lot of Venus around her, love, beauty, and money, and her element is that of the earth. She speaks to me of, I think you're going to hear of a pregnancy. Certainly you're going to be coming in touch with the beauty of your life, and I think it's quite possible that you'll be exploring a relationship with your mother or with a mother figure, or perhaps becoming a mother figure or maternal mentor or counselor to someone else. I think you'll find that you are very empathetic and caring during this period, and it reminds you that spirituality is expressed from the heart and not from the head. You will be very nurturing to yourself and also to others. This is a particularly good card for women. It speaks of power, it speaks of poise and grace, and the Aries woman will be full of beauty, poise, and grace during this time. I'd have this thought in mind: I give and receive wisely. I realize that the capacity to receive is equally as powerful as the capacity to give. I value the healing power of beauty, harmony, and of love. Well, where shall we go next? Well, I'm drawn to this particular card here, only because she's following from those other two female characters. This is the Queen of Discs. The Queen of Discs. The Queen of the Thrones of the Earth. Well, what can we say about the Queen of Discs? Firstly, I'll say this, is that there's a lot of Capricorn around this card, and so I feel that Capricorn is going to be important to you during this time. I'm also getting Sagittarius, so I think Sagittarius is also going to be important to you during this time. Let's have a look at the imagery that's on the card itself. If we look at the Queen, she seems to have, dripping from her eyes there, kind of like tears, aren't there? And they have the look of them, do they not, of diamonds. Well, the Greeks and Romans in ancient days thought that diamonds were tears of the gods, pieces of stars fallen to earth, or even that they were living beings that possessed a soul. Diamond, the word, comes from the Greek word adamas, which means invincible, as diamonds are the hardest substance known to humanity. Now, all of these things could also describe the soul of an individual person. Tears of God, fallen stars, unconquerable and strong, possessing of a soul, precious and ancient. The Queen of Discs tends to these things, providing an environment where things can grow slowly and beautifully. There is pressure too, and pruning and shaping, as with the cultured rose garden behind her. It's in her garden with all the elements in perfect harmony that we live our lives, sustained by her milk, food, water, air, life. You know, I say that these are the feelings I think that you'll be having during this period. And as I say, there could well be a Capricorn, I think, here, or even a Sagittarius. But it demonstrates a woman, and therefore you, I think, who is going to be ambitious, affectionate and kind, charming, practical. She's quite timid, quiet and domesticated. I think you'll be ambitious, but it's wise, I think, during this period for you to work with instinct and intuition rather than with your intellect when it comes to matters of work. There's another card here which is talking about using your mind in another area. I'll get to that in just a moment. So be kind of quiet, hard-working. I think you'll be very practical, sensible, and the person, I think, who generally is represented by this card possesses the finest of the quieter qualities, and she can, in a reticent and unassuming fashion, be quite lustful and sexy. Well, it's always the quiet ones, isn't it? At least in my experience. Oh, I probably shouldn't say that. But there is a tendency for her, I think, sometimes to get into drinks and drugs, almost as if they're the only way that she can realize her essential happiness by getting outside of herself. However, I think that she represents prosperity and security, and she needs to find time to create nurturing time for herself. Now, she also can represent a mother-type figure who guides others through their problems and have that nurturing effect that there is there with the Empress. So keep practical, compassionate, nurturing. Have that those qualities in your attitudes to others and to yourself, and kind of go with the flow. She also represents health and diet, as she's quite physical, I think, being in the suit of Earth. So I would think then that this is a time for you to go forward quietly without an overt attack upon existing situations. Then we shall see whom? We shall see this Hermit character here. Here is the Hermit, the magus of the eternal gods. Now, I think it does also, and following on from the practicality and the non-revolutionary nature of this lady here, this is a card which is also, I think, saying to you that for this period, perhaps, there is the need for you to follow rules or regulations, or even perhaps some cultural traditions in your life. I think it may well be a period of quite intense learning and education. You might be looking things up. You could be developing recipes, searching the internet, looking on YouTube to find out new things of doing it. I think you'll hear of a marriage during this period. This is a very good card for people who are working in large organizations. So if you are in nursing or teaching or in the military in particular, this is going to be an extremely good card for you. It's also a card, I think, which says that for those who are involved in, well, what I'd call in general the beauty industry, it's also going to be something which is very good for you. I'd have this thought in mind, and it is, I honor the sacred within me. I am inspired by learning and teaching. I am creative and productive in my family and professional life. There is only one voice worth listening to, the voice of your own heart. That is what this card is saying for you. And then that takes us finally to this tarot card, which is, here you go. Now here is a red-blooded man, if ever there was one, wasn't there? Very much the warrior here. This is the Lord of the winds and breezes, the King of Swords. A lot of Gemini around here and a lot of Taurus, because I think that we have the energy of the mind, which is represented by Gemini, with the influence of the stability and determination of Taurus for you. It's the last decan of Taurus that I'm getting, and therefore probably the least predictable. But this is representing, I think, a man, but of course court cards are male and female, who is active, clever, skillful, fierce, and courageous, but can sometimes be very unreflective. Now here are the quills coming from his headdress here. So he's very good with words, is what I'm getting. And someone who's been able, this looks like a tattoo all over him of this dragon, so he would have suffered thousands of pinpricks to get that tattoo there. Someone who has the tolerance to pain, however you might want to think about that, as being psychological or as physical, something that you're going to overcome, emotional pain, something that is going to be overcome. He is, as a king, he's air in this suit of swords, and as a king he's fire, so fire and air get on very well and they're active, but they're very fast acting. So this is a very fast acting card here. And with him, if he's not soaring intellectually, then he can get lost in the dark clouds of the mind. He's like a windstorm. I think you'll find forces of passion that originate in your mind. I think you'll receive a clear insight into a problem. You'll be working quickly to set goals and not letting anything get in the way whatsoever. It's nevertheless, I think, something of a restless period for you. Funnily enough, even though there was that bit of downheartedness there for a moment, but this is overcoming it. And there's a restlessness here, which, while you're transitioning and trying to get somewhere else, either in your everyday life or possibly even travel, is what I'm getting. It is a time for you, though, to listen to your head. Don't be so emotionally driven by things at this time. Listen to your head rather than your heart. This is somebody, I think, who is more comfortable in his head than in his heart. And as I say, if it is another person in your life, I suspect that it's liable to be a Gemini or a Taurus, as I've said before. Very much the case. And they can sometimes be more comfortable in their head. I think what this king is indicating a restlessness in all the aspects of your life. Maybe you want to break free of the workplace. Now, in the relationship setting, the king here of swords can represent that love-hate relationship where breakups and reunions are common. This can be draining in the long run, can't it? Have you ever been in that situation where you've got someone that you get together with them, you're fighting, get on there, you break up, you can't live together with them, you can't live without them, you get back together, and then it starts, and you go through this until someone says at the end of the day, who signed up for this? Not me. Anyway, I think that this is what this guy is saying. I'd have this thought in mind, and it is that I know my goal and I know what I am working towards. Each goal is just a milestone on the way to my ultimate destination. And what you should do is imagine how you will best be able to enjoy your success. Let's have a look at these playing cards. And first, this one. Oops, sorry about that. Well, I kind of like the Six of Clubs. The Six can mean transition, and I do get that feeling of you transitioning at the moment, leaving things behind because you have new things to do. It's also about commitment and finding higher ground. Now, when this card appears, your intuition will be stronger than ever. It's a time, I think, for happy meetings. Business deals can well be made. Sales can be good when this card turns up. And education may be sought or is currently ongoing. And wasn't this guy also talking about education? He was. So it's not a coincidence, I suppose, that these things turn up. At least it's not for me. But this is also, I think, talking about improvements in romance, friendship, and career. These improvements are on the horizon. We turn now to this, the 10 of Spades. Let's have a look at it. Which is the best way? Yeah, it really makes no difference, really, does it? There's a 10 of Spades. Well, I've got the feeling here that feeling of abroad. I think you'll be dealing with people who live abroad from where you do, and foreign. So I'm getting the sense of foreign or abroad about it. I think you'll be worried about someone else. I think that you'll have some worry to do with somebody else, some anxiety to do with somebody else. It might be that you receive some unwelcome news in relation to somebody, and that unwelcome news is something that gives you cause to be concerned about them. It might be due to their health. It can sometimes represent fear, especially if changes are involved, but I'm very much getting the feeling here of great anxiety to do with somebody else, not with yourself. And the reason why I don't think it's to do with yourself is because it's followed by this card here. Now, here is the Nine of Hearts. The Nine, of course, is the sacred number. It always returns in on itself. The Nine of Hearts is a card that speaks of great happiness, I'm pleased to say, and happiness for you in this spread. It means fulfillment, something that has finished or that has been obtained. And it can signal sometimes the ending of a relationship, but not an ending which is going to cause you any concern because of the colour that I have of the card here, red, and of the suit that it's in. But it's an ending. It's almost like a natural shedding of something. It can also represent helping other people. Usually, in readings which I have done for people, I've seen that it is really for deepening love, the perfect spouse and child. Look, if I were to sum this card up, I would call this card the wish card. So what is it that your heart wishes for? I think you're going to find that it comes true. Well, that's the way it is for you this month. Well, there you go, another month done, and I trust you enjoyed receiving that reading as much as I did providing it to you. I've got to say this, that you were absolutely outstanding throughout the entire course of the reading, and it was a great pleasure to provide it to you. But I want you to remember one thing, and it is this, that you are a legend, and I look forward to seeing you again next month. Until then, bye for now.